Welcome in, everybody. Ty Bartellin with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time I'm joined with Michael Hein, head coach of the Leetonia Bears boys basketball program. Back for another year, coach. How are things looking right now with the program? How are you
Uh,
doing right now?
I'm good. Glad to be back in the gym. I think we're looking at a much improved team, much improved Leetonia Bears team this year. Everybody's excited. I mean, we have a lot of community support and parents and teachers and everybody around us. I think is um, pushing us in the right direction. So that's a plus.
I think you saw a lot of growth from this team last year, and I know the type of things you're trying to do with this program and how much heart you're putting into
Yeah.
this program. So you talk about that year one; it's always tough. You're trying to get to know everyone. Everyone's also trying to get to know you. You're trying to establish that program. What kind of flexibility does year two allow you to have, and does that bring for you?
Well, so the really cool thing is this is actually my fourth year here. My second is head coach. So I've grown with these guys, this senior group, this large senior group we have. I've seen them from the time they were, right out of eighth grade in summer league. So, I've been hands on with them from the beginning, and we've ran the same thing for 4 years now. And I think, me being in you know the position I'm at now with being head coach. In the second year, you can only promise so much in your first year, and
Yeah.
I think now, even at our Meet the Bears event last week, I said the same thing to everybody in the stands. Like, at some point we have to start expecting more from these kids. Nobody else is going to put the uniform on for them. They got to go out there and compete at a high level and compete for our league title. And it's okay to set those expectations high instead of just expecting to win a couple games here and there and be competitive in games. So I think this is the year that we can really take a big jump forward as far as that goes.
How cool is it for you now to see things come full circle and see the growth from freshman to senior year for your guys?
It's really cool to see these guys. I mean, I'm at the age now where it's almost like they're my kids. Instead, back when I first started coaching, I was closer to their age than
Yeah.
anything. So, but now it's really cool to see them grow as young men too and become more respectful. And even as little far as little things as the way they talk to the referees and help each other up off the floor, and you could see that growth. And I've always tried to parallel those type of things with how it is in the real world. Once you get out of school, nobody's there to protect you. It's time to, it's go time. And I always try to make that parallel with on the basketball court is the same thing with life. There's so many different things that you can compare and those rules that you live by in real life. So it's really neat to see.
When you talk about having that Meet the Bears event that you guys did have, let's have a YSN, I guess, edition of Meet the Bears and meet
Yeah.
this Latonia team, what they're going to look like this year.
Well, so we have 7 seniors back. So we haven't changed too much from last year. I mean, we lost, a pretty pivotal piece. Our one of our main guys, Ashby Merritt. He was kind of our man inside, defender, great defender, great inside. The thing now defensively, Ethan Mancuso as well. He really wasn't a scorer per se, but as a leader and defensive guy leader out on the court as a second coach, we're going to miss him. But we have 7 seniors back, 3 of which are starters. Were starters last year. Like Carson Brock, Cam Roller, Bray Earl, CJ Faulkner. They've all have 3-4 years of varsity experience. So I'm looking for them to take the reins and really make things happen on the court. We have some younger guys. We had 22 kids come out, from 9 through 12, which is good for
That's awesome.
yeah, which is good for a school our size. And the younger kids are buying in. It's just nice to see. We're gonna have a freshman team for the first time in about 12 years at Leetonia. So yeah,
That's awesome.
so it's cool to see. We have one junior that came back that played his freshman year, Ethan Mathia. He's going to play a big role. We missed him last year. I was trying to get him to come out last year. He didn't want to. So he's going to play a big part. Dylan Johns, Dylan Brown, as sophomores, they're going to help us in the guard department. So we're pretty well rounded. We don't have a lot of size, but we're fast and we can play defense and shoot well. So we should be good.
I know for smaller schools too, you'll see those numbers. They'll have their peaks, they'll have their valleys too. And I mean, it's hopefully we're starting to see it come up to a peak, and we're seeing more of a mountain here for Leetonia too, because that's awesome to see too for a freshman team and to see that type of depth. You talked about the conference you guys play in. You guys want to be competitive. You guys want to be near that top of the conference this year, and you feel like you have that shot with as much senior leadership as you have. It's a fun conference. It's a competitive conference. What do you see? What's your conference outlook right now out of that EOAC?
Well, so, our conference is led by a lot of really good coaches. I mean, for as small of a conference as we have, they're all, all those coaches are stand-up guys. They, if I called any of them right now, they'd do anything for you. It's a close-knit league for, it's a small league. But they all do such a good job every year. You never know who's going to, night in, night out, that it's going to be competitive. Personally, I would love to see us in the top half of the league. I'm being realistic. There's some teams that normally are up. I'm not going to name names, are probably going to be a little bit down this year. But I'm telling our guys, that you can't pass by or step over anybody, because they're so well led and so well coached. My personal opinion is I think East Palestine is going to be the team to beat. They have everybody back. They're tough, top to bottom. Tristan does a nice job down there. I think our games with them are going to be really competitive. They're going to be fun to coach and fun to watch. Valley's always good. Columbiana's got a couple guys back that can shoot the lights out. I don't want to diss anybody else, but I think those teams right there are probably the best ones that we're going to see.
You need non-conference games to also kind of help prepare you for the conference and also prepare you for a postseason time. What are some non-conference games scheduled this season for the Bears that you're particularly excited for?
It's always fun. We play Jackson Milton in January. We played a really competitive game against them last year, and that's always fun to play them. Waterloo at the end of the year. Let me think. Mineral Ridge, we play early, I think the fourth game. So that was another competitive game last year we played it. I think we had to lead into the fourth quarter and they just pulled away. Our lack of experience and depth got us. Urban Scholars, I don't know much about them, but we got them on the schedule this year. And I think that's it. Sebring, we play Sebring again. They beat us by 1 last year in a heartbreaker at home.
A lot of close ones.
Yeah. So we play them again next year, and Coach Knepp does a nice job over there. He's getting everything, squeezing water out of a rock, just like we are here. A small school, it's tough, and he does a really good job there. So,
when you talk about this team this year too, and sort of the identity you're going to see from it, sort of the strengths that you're going to see from it. I know you guys played a lot of competitive games. I'm sure a lot of those heartbreaking losses eats at some of the guys that are coming back this year.
Yeah.
What would you say the strengths are of this team? What do you say the identity of this Bears team is going to be this year?
I think so. The strength of us right now that I can see is the resilience that the last few years of constantly being on the losing end builds, the character that it builds, the mental toughness that it builds. I think we'll be able to fight through almost anything that we get confronted with. I see it a lot in the seniors. They've just really hardened themselves, and they had a tough football season again this year, and I was expecting them to come in with a really negative attitude, but they didn't. They took what they could from what they were given, and they came into the first practices ready to go. Hard-nosed basketball. I think what I can't do, like I said earlier in the interview, I can't let them be okay with just being okay. They need to push themselves, and it's our job as coaches to push them into that next level and not let them get comfortable.
How do you guys as coaches accomplish something like that? How do you connect with them to make them want to be the best versions of themselves?
It's hard. It's coaching is not coaching. A lot of times and every coach will tell you it's most 90% of the time it's a thankless job. so it's nice in practice when you have other coaches, and my coaching staff is great. Like they've been around, they've coached a long time, they've been around. Um, it's nice to see when they push them in a positive way, and you see the result immediately. I mean, their looks on their faces, the kids' faces change. They realize it's up to them. Nobody's coming to save them. It's them against the world sometimes out there. And and in a basketball court, I always like to say, you can't hide. You get 5 guys out there. You don't have helmets. You don't have shoulder pads. Like you're right there. The crowd's right there. The ref's right there, judging everything you say and do, and how your body language. Body language is huge. And that's the thing. We're still working on it. I mean, there's some guy. We had a scrimmage Saturday, and the referees came over and said, "Hey, you got to watch this kid. You got to watch this. Tell this kid to stop doing this." It's a constant thing that you got to stay on them. But that's what we get paid the big bucks for, I guess.
I know you love what you do as well, and you mentioned your coaching staff, and you give some love to them. Go on and shout them out. Let the world know it too. Who's alongside you? Who's helping you out this year with the Bears?
Okay, so Corey Creamer, I'm sure you remember Corey. He coached, that was the head coach at Wellsville Girls for a few years. Turned that program around, did a really good job with them. He's my JV coach, and he's, what's funny is like all my assistants are originally from Leetonia, so as well as I am, But I actually coached them the first time around when I coached here in Leetonia. So Corey Creamer's JV. Actually, no, Nick Fuller he's going to be coaching for the freshman team. He's actually a Wellsville graduate. Justin Maynard is a Leetonia graduate who's an assistant with me. And then Patrick Hall, who graduated from Leetonia a couple years ago. And we also have an Ian Davis. He played here a couple years ago, and he's actually our trainer slash coach as well. So all of these guys, and we just picked up a new junior high coach, Jaron Snyder from Salem. He's a young guy that's hungry and willing to learn. They're all sponges, and they all give me feedback, and it's really cool. I mean, I'm the old guy now, so it's good to have young guys that want to be here and getting the young guys the players' ears and keep them motivated.
I always like to talk about growth during a season because with teams, you always see a ton of growth from game 1 to game 22. Let's talk a little bit about short-term goals in that growth and long-term goals in that growth. Short-term being now to game 1, long-term being now until after tournament draw last game of this season. What's some short-term goals? What's some long-term goals you have for this team this year?
Short-term goals became a little bit more clear to me Saturday after our first scrimmage. We've become way more aggressive defensively, which is great. But we have to learn how to play like that because we're going to get in foul trouble real quick.
A little too aggressive too. Channel aggression.
Yeah. So that's an issue. They want to play aggressive. They want to play fast. They want to push the ball. But, with that comes the price. And so my goal, we have 2 more scrimmages, one Wednesday against McDonald, and one Saturday against Crestview. I mean, 2 great teams, 2 well-coached teams. I would like to see a little bit of growth in that department, both of those games, and then we got a couple weeks off and we start playing. I think playing inside out, if you know what I mean, like last year we settled a little bit too much on the 3-point shot, and the old saying, you live and die by the 3-pointer. We are not big in size overall, but we can also move the defense with our quickness, so we can get to the dribble drive offense, playing 5 out. We can get to the hoop if we need to. So if we can play from the inside out, get those easy layups, and get to the free throw line, and then if those open 3-pointers are open, kick it out and shoot those. So that's short term. Long term, develop some of these younger kids, these younger guys, to strengthen our bench a little bit, because we're right now our bench is not that deep with experience. So I think, if I could squeeze minutes in and here in and out of for these younger guys, I think we'll be in good shape long term.
Coach, and one of my theme questions this year goes to the lessons the game teaches. And I've been talking to all coaches too. You guys are teachers of the game. You teach countless young men the sport of basketball and how it relates to actual real life scenarios too. And hope that it helps them deal with real life a little bit more. But I actually want to know what the biggest lesson the sport of basketball has taught you.
Oh boy. I would say that, you're never down. You're never down. There's no out. You don't lose. There's never a loss. And I've learned that, from the time I started playing when I was in third, fourth, fifth grade. I was lucky to have a lot of coaches mentor me throughout the years, and I've just realized, a, a quarter is a quarter. A missed shot is a missed shot. The quicker you put that behind you, the better off you're going to be, and so I try to explain that to the guys the same way, like a loss is a loss, the season's a long season, but at the same time, you gotta give them, light the fire on them a little bit. These seniors, they're seniors, and they got one more first game. They got, they play the teams in the league two more times, so what do they want to do with that at the same time as saying, there's always a chance to better yourself. There's always a chance. Get up off the floor. You just got dusted by somebody. Get back on defense, and that's kind of the same thing with life. If you count yourself out before you're out, you're going to stay out,
Coach, one of my final questions for you, it goes to the opening tip-off too, and I mean, it's always right around for the high school basketball, it's right around Thanksgiving that both boys and girls tip off right around that time. So I want you to shout out your first game, shout out the Leetonia community, let them know why they need to support this team this year, but also shout out your favorite Thanksgiving Day dish.
Okay, so our first actual game is December 3rd. We play Urban Scholars at home. So that's a Tuesday night at home. I hope the Leetonia community supports us. These guys are basically an entity that I think will make you proud. And you can see their work ethic on the floor, and I think it emulates what Leetonia is all about. And it's a small town, small team, but with a big heart. So I hope we can do something this season, and make Leetonia proud. As far as Thanksgiving, I'm a turkey and stuffing kind of guy. Like, you put that on the plate, I'll eat that 365 days a year.
Turkey gets some love. I still think stuffing is leading the way right now.
Yeah.
Favorite.
The leftover stuffing with a little crunchiness on the outside of it, you can't beat that.
Coach, we're excited for the opening tip-off too. We're counting down the days till basketball season. I'm excited for this Bears team. I'm excited for a bunch of guys that are hungry, a bunch of seniors on the team too. Yeah. And I think you guys are flying under the radar, but I think that's exactly where you want to be flying right now.
Exactly. Yep. Take it by surprise.
Good luck this season, Coach. I know in due time we'll catch each other out there on the hardwood here real soon.
For sure. Thank you, Ty.
Thank you, Coach. Been the first edition of Coach's Corner with the Leetonia head coach of the boys basketball team, Michael Hein.